Welcome into Valley News Now. Tonight we have an update for you from Minnesota, where the case of two men who've been found guilty in a deadly human smuggling case. They learned their fate in Fergus Falls, Minnesota today. Their sentences have been handed down. We know the results of this now. We're just kind of waiting to hear law enforcement's reaction to the sentencing. We're going to show you a live look right now from the courthouse in Fergus Falls. This is where our reporter is set up. Again, waiting to hear law enforcement's reaction to the sentences that were handed down on Harsh Kumar Patel and Steve, and I lost the name real fast, sorry about that, and Steve Shand. Harsh Kumar Patel got the longest sentence of the two. The 29-year-old Indian national was sentenced to 121 months in prison. That's the highest that the judge could give in that guideline range. The U.S. government was asking for a 235-month sentence there. Now, this is all according to our reporter on the scene. Since Patel is not a U.S. citizen, it's likely that he's going to be deported back to India after serving his sentence. He won't have any supervised release due to not being an American citizen. They also said that Judge John Tunheim cited an interest in protecting the public with his sentencing. They also told us that Patel's lawyers said that they plan on appealing that decision. So stay tuned for that as this case just continues on. Steve Shand, he's a 50-year-old man from Florida. He was given 78 months in this same case here, followed by 2 years of a supervised release. The sentencing guidelines for Shand were anywhere between 78 to 97 months in prison, so he was given the bottom end of that guideline there, the shortest sentence that he was likely to be given. In case you're just figuring out what this is about, these two men were found guilty in November on 4 counts related to human smuggling, including conspiracy to bring migrants into the country illegally. Officials saying that they were part of a sophisticated illegal operation that brought Indian citizens into the country for profit illegally. Now, as a result of this, many migrants were put into a perilous situation. A family of 4, a husband, wife, their 11-year-old daughter, and 3-year-old son, they died on January 19th, 2022, spending hours wandering in blizzard conditions with wind chill reaching -36 near the Minnesota-Canadian border. That was due to the operation run by these two guys. I'm going to go ahead and pull up their mugshot for you, so in case you're not sure who we're talking about, we can show that to you here. These two guys right here, again, Harsh Kumar Patel and Steve Shand. We knew that they were guilty. They were found guilty back in November of these charges. Now we got the sentence officially handed down. Again, we're waiting for a reaction from law enforcement for these sentences. So stay tuned right here to Valley News Now as we have more coming up here in just a little bit. I'm watching our reporter on scene right now. He's getting set up at the podium there. Again, we'll go ahead and show you a look from the courthouse there. We'll go ahead and get that pulled up. A lot of media outlets there. This is a massive case with big implications here. It's at the federal level. We've had people from all over the place reaching out to us to get more information from this sentencing hearing. And I'm going to go ahead and reiterate what those sentences were in case you're just joining us here on our Facebook pages or our digital platforms. Harsh Kumar Patel, 29-year-old Indian national, sentenced to 121 months in prison for his involvement in this human trafficking operation. That's the highest the judge could give him in that guideline range. The U.S. government, they did want a 235-month sentence in that one, so I imagine that will be touched on a little bit in these post-trial comments. Since he's not a U.S. citizen, he's likely to be deported once his time has been served here. He's not going to have any supervised release because of him not being a U.S. citizen. Our reporter on scene said that the judge cited an interest in protecting the public with this sentencing. Patel's lawyers did say as well at the trial that they are planning to appeal this sentence. On the other hand, there's Steve Shand, a 50-year-old man from Florida, also involved in this human trafficking case, again found guilty back in November, sentenced today to 78 months in prison, followed by 2 years of a supervised release. The sentencing guidelines for Shand were anywhere between 78 and 97 months, so again, he got kind of the low end of that one there. We're still waiting on law enforcement to give their statement at the end of this sentencing hearing in Fergus Falls earlier today. It just wrapped up, actually, the sentencing for Harsh Kumar Patel. That one started around 1 o'clock. It took about an hour to get through, and then Steve Shand started about half an hour after that. So again, this is very breaking news. These just got passed down, and we're getting an instant reaction here from the sentencing hearing. getting updates on when we can expect to hear from law enforcement here. Don't mind me looking at my phone, sorry if that's rude, but I'm getting updates from our reporter on the scene. So a very fluid situation here as we continue to follow this sentencing. And again, we have a full rundown of this situation along with the sentences that were just passed down on our website, valleynewslive.com. You find the story posted on our Facebook page, which if you're watching this, you're probably on that right now. Just scroll down a little bit after this is over or before it starts and go ahead and read that, and then come on back to hear from law enforcement as we get a reaction to this sentence. Nope. Looks like we have some action at the podium. We're going to go ahead and go to Fergus Falls right now.
I am Acting United States Attorney Lisa Kirkpatrick. Would you like me to spell? Yes, please. It's Kirkpatrick. I have a statement, but I'll take a couple of questions. I am going to provide some remarks, and afterwards, Special Agent Jamie Holtz will also do so. Thank you for coming again. Again, I'm Lisa Kirkpatrick, the Acting U.S. Attorney for the District of Minnesota. Moments ago, human smugglers Harsh Kumar Patel and Steve Shand were sentenced to lengthy prison terms, concluding this tragic case that brings into sharp focus precisely why human smuggling will not and cannot be tolerated in the District of Minnesota. That cold night in January of 2022, the winds were whipping upwards of 50 miles per hour. The wind chill was 36 degrees below zero in Humboldt, Minnesota, a small border town in the northwest corner of our state. I'm a lifelong Minnesotan. I would not go out in this weather. But the defendants sent into that weather 11 migrants, Indian nationals who were not dressed appropriately, were ill-prepared for the weather they faced that night. They walked hours trying to find the defendant, Steve Shand, in a smuggling operation that was put in motion by defendant Patel. These defendants knew it was cold. In fact, they knew it was life-threateningly cold, but they didn't care. What they cared about was money, and their callous indifference to the value of human life cost a family of 4 their lives. A mother, a father, an 11-year-old daughter, and a 3-year-old son. A son still wrapped in a blanket in his father's arms. A daughter lying nearby. A mom hunched against a fence when she went looking for help that night. A 5th migrant was so frostbitten that she had to be airlifted to a hospital in St. Paul. I want to highlight the good work of law enforcement in this case, especially U.S. Customs and Border Control agents. 4 deaths is unspeakably tragic, but these agents' quick actions saved lives that night. There's no doubt about it. And agents with Homeland Security investigations put in countless hours of investigation to ensure that the full scope of this human smuggling ring was uncovered. We can't bring the family back, but with the lengthy sentences imposed today, we can send a strong message. A message that human life does not have a price tag. That human smugglers are callous and indifferent and have no regard for the safety of the people in their care. That illegally entering the United States carries grave risks, and that those who smuggle aliens into the United States will face harsh consequences. Border security is national security, and together with our law enforcement partners, the United States Attorney's Office will use all federal tools at our disposal to bring to justice those who attempt to violate our laws, who disregard the value of human life, and who smuggle aliens into the United States. Special Agent in Charge Jamie Holt with HSI has some remarks to make as well.
Good afternoon, and thank you for being here. My name is Jamie Holt. I'm the Special Agent in Charge for Homeland Security Investigations in St. Paul. Today's sentencing brings to a close a painful chapter in an investigation that has touched all of us deeply, both personally and professionally. Before I address the substance of this case, I want to commend the tireless efforts of the agents and officers of Homeland Security Investigations, the U.S. Border Patrol, the U.S. Attorney's Office, and our Canadian partners, especially the Royal Canadian Mounted Police. Their cooperation and dedication across international lines were essential in bringing this case to justice. This was not just a case of smuggling. This was a case of profound human suffering. 2 adults and 2 children, an entire family, perished in sub-zero temperatures trying to reach what they thought would be safety. Instead, they were betrayed by individuals motivated by profit with no regard for human life. We must remember that these were not just statistics or anonymous victims. They were parents, children, and people with hopes for a better life. Their loss underscores the brutal reality of human smuggling and merciless conditions exploited by criminal networks. While today's sentencing cannot reverse the terrible loss of life, it does affirm that those who exploit others for profit will be held accountable. This case was about criminal conduct, coordinated, reckless, and deadly. It was about protecting lives and dismantling networks that put people in harm's way. We remain focused on our core mission, which is enforcing the law, safeguarding our communities, and preventing tragedies like this from ever happening again. Our responsibility is clear, and we will continue to carry it out with professionalism, integrity, and resolve. Thank you.
Jamie, how do you spell your name, if you don't mind? Sorry.
Yep, JAMIEHOLT.
Thank you.
Yep.
Take a couple questions.
Jamie just used the word dismantling. Was something dismantled here? How large was this ring?
Well, the investigation is ongoing, of course, and what we know was dismantled was the ring that involved Shandon Patel.
How big was it?
All I will say is the investigation is ongoing, but we certainly know from the trial that it extended into India and across Canada as well.
So could more arrests be coming?
The investigation is ongoing.
Mr. Professor, Bobby Valley, West Side of Fargo. Just listening to the sentencing from what the government was asking for and to what the judge handed down, obviously quite a difference in just how much years length will be happening. Do you still feel, that justice was served today?
Justice was served today. We absolutely respect the sentence handed down by the judge and the decisions that he made.
Do we know anything about how the family came to be separated from the other people in the group?
I don't believe that we do. Well, there certainly wasn't evidence about that at trials, so I think the answer is no.
Are you hoping for arrests on the Canadian side of the border? In essence, people further up the food chain in this ring.
Well, what I will say is, I will repeat what I said, is that the U.S. Attorney's Office, together with our law enforcement partners, are laser focused on ensuring that people who engage in this type of conduct are brought to justice, and that the investigation is, as I mentioned, ongoing.
We heard from at least one of the defendant's lawyers that he plans to appeal the sentencing conviction. Do you have any comment on what's next?
Certainly it's his right to appeal. As the judge indicated, he has 14 days to do that, and it'll be heard by the 8th Circuit Court of Appeals. Seeing no further questions, I appreciate everyone's time. I appreciate everyone's attention to this important case. It's certainly a tragic case, and Mr. Patel's lawyer said it well when he said tragic almost rings hollow when we talk about what happened here. I wish there were a better word. I mean, if you followed the trial, you saw those photos, you heard about that family, and it's important that people understand how dangerous human smuggling can be, particularly on Minnesota's border. Thank you.
I just have one quick follow. I apologize.
No worries.
Follow-up question. What the government was asking from the census perspective, were you going for the longest, harshest sentence that was possible for these two men?
I believe that 2 of the 4 counts against these men had 20-year mandatory, or excuse me, not mandatory, but 20-year statutory maximum sentences. So no, we were not seeking the highest sentence. As to Mr. Patel, we were seeking the high end of what we believed his guideline range should be. And as to Mr. Shand, we were seeking the middle of the range as to what we believed his guideline range should be. But as I said in court, we think that regardless of what the guidelines were, the sentences we sought were supported by the facts.
Sorry, I have one more follow-up, if you don't mind. You know, since this happened, how has human smuggling been along the northern border in that area? Have we seen it go up, go down? Can you talk a little bit about that?
You want to speak to that?
Yeah, I can comment briefly. I really don't want to take away from this case because of the tragedy associated with it, but I would say when we're speaking specifically to the state of North Dakota, Minnesota, which makes up the Grand Forks Border Patrol sector, things have maintained fairly steady at this point. So we really haven't seen a sharp increase or decrease, kind of the status quo.
So does this sentence maybe send a message then, one way or the other, that
Absolutely, it will. Like I said, there's ongoing smuggling activity. We're aware of that. Very proud of the time that the men and women of the U.S. Border Patrol and Grand Forks sector put in to patrolling the border out there. And so we hope that this is a strong message, and especially during the inclement months. You know, there very well could have been 11 deaths associated with this event when you factor in the time that it takes to suffer frostbite or hypothermia at 35 below zero.
Sir, could we get your spellings and title?
Current Acting Chief Patrol Agent Michael Hanson, Hanson.
Thank you, everyone.
Ms. Patrick, sorry, can I ask one more question? I'm so
One more.
sorry. You mentioned at the start of your comments you want the RCMP in Canada. What specifically are you thinking of for? What did they do?
I don't recall mentioning the RCMP.
The Royal Canadian Mounted
No, did I mention them?
I mentioned that.
Oh,
Yes. No, that's okay. They were, they provided valuable information and assistance throughout our investigation.
Can you provide any more information about what does that mean?
I can't provide more information right now because it's still an ongoing investigation, but I can tell you that we're working very closely with them to continue to investigate this case.
Thank you. Thank you.
Can you get through?
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Safe travel back.
And again, not sure if if this is going out live. It's supposed to be, but if it's not, if it is, thank you for joining us. Again, continue to follow us here at Valley News Live as we find more information on this case and continue to follow it. Thank you.